Hey there and welcome to Get Indie Gaming, where in this video, we're taking a peek at some of the best looking games out this week across all of your favourite storefronts. So far, June 2020 has been a really solid month for new indie game releases, and is that true for this week as well? Well, let's find out. Let's begin this week's countdown with Summer in Mara, which in all honesty is one of the most anticipated farm sim games. You play as a young girl within a single player adventure where you farm the land, explore and discover over 20 different islands, and meet with more than 25 different characters. We were given access to the game before launch by way of the Nintendo Switch, and found it to be a wonderfully rich and colourful adventure, with it having many hours of gameplay. For us, the strongest part of the game come within the underlying farming mechanics, but also with the overall narrative, which is really well written. With it having so many wonderful cutscenes, they alone could have been put together into quite the visual novel. Sadly, where Summer in Mara falls that little bit short comes from within its fetch quests. There are literally hundreds within the game, and ultimately it makes it feel just a little bit thinly spread, which is a shame. Summer in Mara is out now as this video airs on PC and the Nintendo Switch, the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. Next up, with a surprise launch onto the Nintendo Switch, we have Invisible, Inc., a game that first came out on PC back in 2015. Eurogamer listed it as being one of their standout games of the whole year, and since then, it's become one of those classic indie game titles. This new port onto the Switch includes the base game as well as the Contingency Plan DLC, and if you don't know already, Invisible, Inc. is a tactical game based on espionage where you play as a group of spies. Within each run, you control a handful of agents, all while trying to infiltrate a number of corporate entities, while avoiding or fighting off their defense systems and the odd security guard from time to time, although ideally, the game wants you to slip in and out unnoticed. Invisible, Inc. is an incredible addition to the Switch back catalogue, and one we'll be playing for months and months to come. Next up, well, who needs to wait for the new Paper Mario? Well, perhaps not so, but anyway, My Beautiful Paper Smile is out this week in early access. It's a horror game within the setting where a dystopian king wants and demands every child to be perfect, which for that means having a smile always on their faces. It seems a game about escape, with you running away from other creatures, your nightmares perhaps, and we're also assuming there's going to be plenty of stealth to be had here, and while that's not a genre we overly enjoy, this seems, well, that little bit different. Said to be in early access for around 6 or so months, with half of the story available to be played at this early access launch. The full game will come out towards the end of the year, or perhaps early 2021. Moving onwards, we have Barn Finders, a game we've covered a few times over the past 6 or so months, most recently by way of its successful Kickstarter campaign. Again, as we've said before, this one's based on a popular TV show, where you're tasked with scavenging abandoned barns in the search amongst the trash and bric-a-brac for items you'll be able to flip onwards and sell for a tidy profit. With hundreds of items to find amongst 12 different locations, you'll uncover clapped-out cars that can be salvaged for a huge payout, and discover many a mad and crazy story about the locations you visit and the items you collect. This isn't normally the kind of thing we'd play, although here in Barn Finders, it's just so oddly great looking and one we're hugely excited about. Barn Finders is out now by way of Steam. Next up, we have the second of 2 ports out this week onto the Nintendo Switch. Developed by REIKON Games and first out on all the other usual systems in 2017, Ruiner is an utterly incredible neon-tinged cyberpunk tale that's full of over-the-top ultra-violence and tells the tale of a loner who's set to take down an absolutely ruthless corporation called Haven, who also happens to have masterminded the disappearance of the character's brother. We often use the phrase fast and frantic in our descriptions of such games, sometimes to the generic annoyance of a few, although yes, this phrase stands up so very well within Ruiner, with speed of action, efficiency of movement, and tactical nuance being key to success. We own a few copies of this game and more recently picked up the physical edition for the PlayStation 4, and will definitely be picking this up on the Switch when it's out, Thursday, June the 18th.
Who are you? Where are you from?
Also coming out this week, with it originally named Coma when first shown off over the course of Jeff Keighley's live show at E3 2017, Waking, as it's now called, comes out on June the 18th. Of all the games over the first half of the year, this is probably one of the most ambitious in terms of the type of experience the developer is looking to offer to players. You play as somebody trapped within the darkness of a coma in what there's no question is a deeply personal and unique third-person action, exploration, adventure game, with it also having sections containing guided meditation. Played out within your dreams, players are asked to face memories and fight against the forces of darkness in what's called the twisted pathways of the mind in a quest to awaken, and while doing, make choices that will shape a uniquely and different overall experience. To be honest, much of the appeal, and I say that with the knowledge this game contains a deeply personal aspect for its developer, Jason Oda, is how Waking will guide players through the overall narrative. This, and how it will pair up with the guided meditation, with it looking to take you deep into your own mind, both in-game and within the real world. That's going to be a challenge, and I'm looking forward to seeing how things are implemented, and in seeing how others react to what seems like an innovative and forward-thinking gameplay mechanic. Waking comes first to PC via Steam and also the Xbox One, with perhaps other platforms to follow. Coming out this week in early access over on the Epic Games Store. Among Trees is a vibrant-looking survival sandbox game set within a colourful wilderness that's teeming with life, all within a dense although beautifully rendered forest. You'll need to keep yourself safe and secure, all the while doing what you need to survive, be this catching fish amongst other things, while also making your lonely cabin or ship shape, and if you want, you can add additional rooms, unlocking new mechanics such as cooking and tool crafting. What else can I say? Amongst Trees looks ever so pretty, and one we're looking forward to getting lost within. Up next, and the last but one video in today's countdown, we have Across the Grooves. You can find a link to our full review for this game down in the description, or within the card that might be on screen now, depending upon your playback location. Across the Grooves sees you play as Alice, a late 20s, early 30s lady based out of Bordeaux in the southwest of France. She's living a normal life, and perhaps one she's a little unhappy with, when one day she receives a 7-inch record in the post. While the package doesn't contain a note or letter of explanation, she recognises the handwriting of a former lover of hers, with the postmark indicating the letter had come from Paris. Having listened to the record, Alice finds her reality is upended. Her life as she knew it has changed, and she sets about a trip across Europe, hoping to track down not only her former lover, but also to understand more about the record while also getting her life back to normal. Across the Grooves, well, it's one of the finest narrative-driven games so far of 2020. The story and how it branches and changes depending on the choices you make is a stunning achievement, as is the art style and overall musical score, with those aspects also changing in accordance to your decisions. To say more would be to spoil it, and yet for visual novel fans and those people looking for such an interactive, and I'll call it a performance, well, Into the Grooves is essential, and will almost certainly feature within our end of the year rundown. Enter the Grooves comes out on June 17th via Steam, with it also being available for the Nintendo Switch.
They say there ain't no such thing as a good death. side of the gun you're on and what you're fighting for.
Up now, and the last game to feature in this weekly rundown of new indie game releases. West of Dead is out this week on PC and Xbox on June 18th, with it also coming to the Xbox Game Pass service. In West of Dead, you step into the boots of a dead man called William Mason, who terrifically enough is voiced over by none other than Rob Perlman. Here you descend into the grim and gritty world of Purgatory, with a cover-based shooter that's using twin-stick controls and a tactical overall mechanic. The art style, well, just look at it. It looks and sounds incredible, with everything being procedurally generated, all within, well, it looks to be some hyper-violent content. Now, as many of you know who've been following Get Indie Gaming for a while, we love our twin-stick shooters, and we're wondering if this might topple Nex Mechanica off the top of the #1 slot for that particular genre. And if so, well, that will make West of Dead, like Across the Grooves before it, utterly unmissable. Well, there we go. Many thanks for watching. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you've yet to do so. Likewise, be sure to let us know down below which of these games you're wanting to play the most, and if there's any this week we've missed out on. All the best, and see you soon for another indie game video.